Hello and welcome to the fourth and final episode of the mini business startup series, the Creative SheCEO. And we've made it to week 4. Somehow I've still got my voice. It might be faltering a little bit today. I've recorded quite a few of these episodes in a short space of time, so I might sound a little bit husky. But we've made it to the 4th episode. I really hope you've enjoyed them all so far and they've all helped you. And we've been talking about all the things that you've told me that you want to know how to do when you're starting a creative venture of your own. And we've covered everything so far, from finding your tribe, your target audience, to pricing, where to put your work, the different platforms you can sell on. But for today's final episode, we're going to be talking about something that I am really passionate about, and something that I don't think a lot of people actually realise is one of the most important aspects of getting yourself out there, and something that you have to do when you start any business. So today we're talking all about offline advertising. That is, I'm taking you beyond the feed, away from social media, and we're going to look at all the other ways of getting your business seen. So if you're only posting your stuff on social media and just hoping that your business is going to take off and grow, the truth is you might be waiting a while. Social media, it's an essential part of your marketing strategy. Of course it is. It's essential to the modern world that we live in, and you should most definitely be on there and have a presence on there. But you also need to have a really strong offline presence as well. So, you might find yourself pouring your heart and soul in creating all these social media posts, showing, all your fabulous work, pressing post, and then just waiting for the likes and the comments and the orders to roll in thick and fast. And you wait, and you wait, and you keep waiting. Oh, and then you get a notification on Facebook. You open it, oh, and it's your mum or your best friend who's liked your post. What I'm saying is, the truth is, unless you've got like a massive marketing budget to spend on sponsored posts every month, you probably aren't going to shift the needle. And I feel quite passionate about this because I just honestly feel like social media has managed to pull the wool over our eyes and made us believe that it's enough on its own to start a business. We spend all our time and our energy. We create posts, we create reels, fancy product shots that really break our neck photographing them because you're trying to get creative and get all the angles, impress people, make them think, wow, look at that. And then for what? And we get a like, 1-2 likes from our neighbour, our friends. And then we're left thinking that it's impossible to make a living off this, whatever it is that we're doing. And we either continue, but with limited drive and motivation, because we're not getting any feedback and we're not getting any positive reinforcement, or we quit. Well, quitting's never an option for me, as you may have picked up on throughout the course of these podcast episodes. I'm probably one of the most determined people ever. If I want something, I will do my damn best to make it happen. And that's what I want to do for you. So what I'm here to tell you is that it's not impossible to make a living from whatever creative skill or talent that you've got. Because you've got one. You have a talent that you were put on this earth to share with everybody. And I'm a true believer in that. And it's just being resilient enough to sort of see past a certain way of thinking of how you may be doing things now and taking it to a different level. And just taking a different approach. And that, what we're talking about today, is going beyond the feed and going old school. We are going old school. We're going to get ourselves out there. Okay, it's time to stop letting social media determine the fate of your business. Get back in the driving seat. The reins, take the reins, whatever you want to call it. The reason that I'm so passionate about this topic is because I know that offline advertising works, if not better than online. And I know this because it's what got my stationery business off the ground, and it keeps it going to this day. Okay, it's not as easy and it's not as convenient as just posting something on social media. That anybody can do that. And I think that's what half the problem is as well, especially after COVID. And a lot of people decided to start a business. Quite rightly so. Didn't want to feel like their finances and their futures are in the hands of employers, people that could just let them go, or they did lose their jobs. My husband was one of them. So they decided to start up on their own and make a business, create a business out of doing something that they've always wanted to do. It's kind of like a thing that pushed them to make a start. But I think that what we have to realise is that, yes, it's convenient. Social media does open the doors for us to be able to have these opportunities, but it's not enough on its own, like I said. When you start a business, it requires so much effort and it requires a lot of persistence for you to actually get results and get noticed. And I think with offline advertising, it's actually easier in one way to make it happen quicker than it is by doing it online. Whether this is because, social media is just so swamped now with everything that's on there, that could be it. And I think people have forgotten about the other ways that you can promote yourself. Say probably quicker than online. And you'll actually reach a whole new audience while you're doing it, a wider audience, different people that are not on Facebook or Instagram or any other social media platforms. I try not to go on them for anything other than work because, honestly, A, I don't have the time, and B, I'm not really that interested. I just keep my business pages going because that's my work and I enjoy it. But everything else, it takes up too much time. I don't want to get involved in it all and all the drama and everything else that comes with it. So let's dive in and let's talk about offline advertising, what it is and what you can do to get your work truly seen in so many other ways than just through social media. So I mentioned before that offline advertising can feel a little bit old school and that it might not feel like it's enough considering that most of the population spend their life online these days and on social media. However, I believe that this is where a lot of new small business owners can go wrong because they totally underestimate the power of a business card, a conversation at a craft fair or an informal recommendation from a local fellow business owner. This kind of stuff is gold and it's worth way more than just a few casual likes from people, who've got no intention of making a purchase from you. And obviously I mean that in the nicest possible way, of course. But what we actually need to be doing when we start any business is ploughing our efforts into being physically present in the world, making ourselves a tangible entity in a world that is so impersonal. It is. You're just normally a name on a screen that, you scroll up and it's gone. So how do we do this? What kinds of offline advertising can you do that are not going to cost you much or cost you a penny, some of them, and that will get your business name out there? So let's talk about them. First and foremost, probably one of the most important things that you need some business cards. You need printed media. It's a must. Because, how many times I've been out, right? I've randomly talked to someone in a shop or a sales assistant in a store, whatever, and, they've happened to mention to me their son was getting married. Oh, have you got a business card, Joanne? And sometimes, admittedly, I haven't got any on me. Either I've forgot to put them in my handbag or I've changed handbags. But if you can, try and have one in every, handbag that you've got. Have some in your glove box of your car. Have a couple in your pocket, because you'd be surprised who you meet and who you talk to when you're out and about. Especially when you're a mum as well and you're attending all different things and groups and events. You just speak to anybody that will talk to you, don't you? To pass a bit of time. Have a bit of human, female conversation. And it's amazing what actually you find out about somebody. So have a card on you, because there's a potential customer right there in front of you. Actually, the funniest one was quite recent, something that happened to me. I have to tell you about this. I laugh about it all the time because it was just before Christmas. And I was at the hospital having, let's say, an intimate procedure done, as all the ladies know what kind of things those are. And the lady conducting the exam, she just started talking to me about Elf on the Shelf. As all the things that she'd made this annoying elf do for her kids the past couple of weeks. And now she was stuck for ideas on what to do for Christmas Eve for one of them. So, I mean, it's a bit weird talking about Elf on the Shelf during this exam, but, you know, the entrepreneur in me, I came out and I told her about my Christmas range that I do. There was nothing else to talk about. It was quite awkward. So I thought I might as well. And you know what? She was over the moon. She was absolutely ecstatic that I was on her clinic list for that day because I just sorted out her problem of what special things she could do for her kids on Christmas Eve. And then she immediately asked me for my business card. Now, I didn't actually have any on me. This is an example where I had none on me. So I ended up writing my name and my website and my phone number on a piece of paper that she pulled out of the drawer, which, you know, it's not ideal, and that piece of paper could go missing. I was really gutted that I didn't have any business cards on me at that time, but, you know, I wasn't exactly expecting to be talking Elf on the Shelf and Christmas and stationery with this particular person. So, yeah, it's a prime example of these like chance encounters that do happen when you're out and about, or if you're in a compromising position, as I was. And it's crucial that you've got a good old-fashioned business card on you at any point to hand out and just give them. And it does look a lot more professional than like borrowing a nurse's pen and just scribbling your details on the back of a clinic list for the day. Not ideal. But, you know, I made it work. Like I say, I'm resourceful. So other printed media you can get done, flyers, brochures, that all underrated, yet they're really effective forms of offline advertising. You can leave them with permission, of course, in like venues and places that your target audience are hanging out. Stick them on community notice boards. And most of these places don't charge, and you'll probably find that a lot of them will be happy to display them for you. I know where I live, we've got loads. The local Costa even does it. Obviously, a lot of people get a lot of traffic in there. They have a notice board right outside the loos. I always stop and have a look at it. We've got one in our local co-op. Obviously, places like the library. We've got a great coffee shop round here as well, an independent one. And they have a huge notice board. And people stop and read them. You know, they always put them outside toilets as well. And I think it's because there's usually a queue and you want something to read. So it's really handy. And, go in, just speak to the person on the bar, manager, whatever, and just say, oh, can I just leave a leaflet? And they'll probably say, yeah, just pop it on the notice board, no problem. And you'll be surprised who sees it. And I think we forget how much people love something that they can hold, something tangible that they can take away with them. They can put it on their fridge with a magnet until they need it. Brochures, who doesn't love flicking through a beautiful brochure? Gorgeous imagery. There's something that's always lying around their house. It's there. It's on the coffee table. It's down the side of the sofa. It's not just popping up for a fleeting moment on their screens and then it's gone out of their life and they've forgotten about it. And it's replaced by the next thing. So fast moving. So social media is so fast moving. And it's why a lot of us fail to make an impact on it. But if you can offer something different, have things that people can take away, can hold, can keep in their house, can flick through when they're reading, they're having a brew, or they're in bed, it can be the difference between gaining a new customer and not. So go back to basics, get yourself some amazing business cards made at the very least, and some flyers if you can too, and get them printed professionally. It makes all the difference. There's loads of local printers out there that charge the same, if not less, than the bigger online companies. Plus, you can order smaller amounts. I've actually got a resources section in my online course, the Creative SheCEO, how to launch a creative business workbook. And there's a resources section at the back, which I've listed Places that I use for getting printing done, for designing. You know, I haven't included anything in there that I haven't used and tried and tested and been happy with. So you might find that really useful. I will mention again a bit later on when we come to it some more parts of the course which relate to this topic that we're talking about today, which may help you advance your business quicker. But, you know, you can design the leaflets yourself on Canva. You know, they've got a free version. It really doesn't have to cost much. And even if you're not, you know, design minded, whatever, they've got templates on there. You can drag and drop pictures. You can type your text in the boxes. It's really easy. And it'll go a long way in helping you promote your business. If you've got a car, any car, doesn't matter, get some sign writing done on it. I've got 2 of those magnetic panels that go on your doors, and they're just removable. You can just take them off. And I can't tell you how many people stop in Aldi car park and read them. You know, and they weren't dear. I think they're about £30 each. But I bet, obviously I don't know, but I bet they have made me that back tenfold. You know, I think anything that you can do like that to draw attention to yourself with an obvious reason in the real world is good. Because you're stuck at traffic lights, you know, I know that I do. I look at vans that have got sign writing on them. Sometimes I'll quickly take a picture, write the name down if I'm looking for anything, electrician, any kind of services. I'll say, oh yeah, brilliant, quick, get a picture of that. And you'll find that people do the same to you. Now, I know on my car, I've had to add business insurance onto it in order to have those on. It's not much more. But I think, you know, when you do your car insurance, you can have like social use only and commuting, or you can add business use. So you would have to, I think, add that on in order to use your car for business purposes. But do check that out. Don't take that as gospel. But I've got it on mine. So another thing you can do, so let's talk about some more offline advertising. Okay, you need to collaborate with some fellow local businesses. So if you make a physical product, let's, you know, I don't know, whatever it may be, soaps, candles, maybe you crochet, see if you can rent a shelf and get your work on display there. If you're service-based, so, you know, if you're a therapist or you offer a service to people instead and you haven't got a physical product, still go and see some local businesses and ask if you can put some flyers on their counter or in their window. You know, and as long as they're in a place where you know your target audience are going to go and you're not in direct competition with that particular shop, then you're fine and they're okay with it. You're good. Because these businesses, they will have their own customer base already, especially if they're established and they've been there a while and they're reputable. You know, they'll have their own customers that you can tap into and you'll access a whole different group of people. And you'll most likely gain a really good local customer base as a result of it. So, like I said, as long as the shop or the business that you collaborate with are credible, they've got a good reputation, people go there because they, you know, they like them, they trust them, and you can essentially piggyback on the back of that. Because if your stuff or your service is on display there, then it sort of says that you must also be credible. And then like, boom, you get this instant trust. And customers will be like, oh, well, so-and-so recommends this place. You know, this person has their stuff in there. They wouldn't stock it if they didn't like them or they didn't trust them. So great, I'll buy it. So put your feelers out. See who you could work with. You know, and it works both ways because not only do they help promote you, then you can help promote them as well. It's mutually beneficial. It's a win-win. You know, and you can both put your stuff on each of the social media pages as well. It might help you gain a few more followers. Just to give an example, I used to work with a lot of venue dressers, you know, people who decorate rooms for parties, weddings, special occasions. And I do party stationery and favours and table decor, etc. So they tell their clients about me and I tell my clients about them. And we're effectively, you know, we're sailing in the same ocean, but we're just in different boats. So we're not actually in a race. If you get me, there's no competition. So do think about who it is you could work with in your local area. Reach out to them, send them a message, pop in if you can. It's better if you can just pop into the shop. I found a lot more success that way. Because people like to see you. You know, they can ignore emails. They can't ignore you when you're going face to face. Well, they could do, but most of the time they don't dare. Plus, you can get a feel as well to see if it's the sort of place that you want to represent your work, because that's equally as important. So I just want to move on to something that I'm really, really passionate about. Like I said, this is a topic that I know works. I love talking about it because I know it works. And one of the biggest, probably the most influential things I did to get Vintage Tree, my stationery business, off the ground back in 2010 was to get myself in printed publications like national and regional magazines. You know, the ones that you see on the shelves in the big supermarkets that you think only ever include people who have paid to be featured in there. Well, that is where you'd be wrong. So what a lot of people don't realise is that most of these publications, the big names, they want and they need content, good content. And obviously it's got to be suited to their readers, but they're actually looking for it. And you make their life easier if something amazing and attractive and engaging lands on their desk. So when I started Vintage Tree, I used to make it my mission once a month to go to WH Smith. Again, like I said, I'm really old school. I probably could have gone online, but I didn't. And I used to find about 3 magazines related to my industry, which was obviously weddings. And then I used to look in them and I tried to find the names of the people that I needed to contact in order to get my work in there. Then when I got home, I put an email together and I'd ask them to feature my work. Now, there is a way to do this that I've found worked, and sometimes I didn't get a response, but 9 times out of 10, I usually did. And it was always a yes. And as I said, I found this method that seemed to work when I was doing it. And I decided to share it with everybody in my online course in the Creative SheCEO workbook. I've said that a lot over the last few weeks. I think I'd get it out now. But I've shared it in there because there's a way to approach these people. Because these people are like, they're bigwigs. They're top of the chain in these magazine companies. They're the editors, They're the people that are kind of like the gatekeepers and to get into their magazine. So there is a way to approach them. And I've actually included in my workbook an email template of what I sent to a lot of editors, and the one, obviously I adapted it depending on what magazine it was, but I got responses from it and I got in their magazine. So I wanted to share that with you on the course because I think it's important so that, you are doing it right and you're giving yourself the best possible shot rather than just sort of winging it, sending in a message that you're not sure how to phrase it, what to say to people. So, if you can send something that's structured, it's got all the information in that they need, and it's presented in a way that is going to sort of warm their heart as well, because they can be quite cold, they get so many a day. You've got to be able to appeal to them. So, yeah, the actual example that I would send is in there in the workbook. It's a formula that always seemed to work for me. And it's all about how you present your pitch, which will determine whether or not you're successful. And there's no doubt about it, you definitely have to be persistent. If you don't hear back from them, chase them up. Chase them up a week later to see if they got it. I've actually got a funny story to tell you about this. From a time that I emailed a large, well-known wedding magazine, shall we say. I'm trying to get in their magazine. So I emailed this one person who I thought would be good to try, based on my research, and I didn't hear anything back. I thought, oh, right, okay then. She's ignoring me. I'm going to go straight to the top. So I emailed the editor. So it was like the big chief, the woman who was in charge of actually a number of the sister publications. There was about 5 magazines she was in charge of. And I thought, I'm going to email her. I'm sure she won't reply, but I'm going to try. What have I got to lose? Anyway, a few days later, I heard back from the original woman that I'd emailed, who was in charge of all the features. And she agreed to feature my work, which is obviously great news. And she'd asked me in the email for some more photos and prices and information. But what was funny was, as I scrolled down the email, I saw like this chain of email conversations below. And I saw one from like the main big boss, like the chief editor, that she'd sent to this woman in regards to the email that she got from me. And it actually said this. It said, Victoria, I don't know if you know about this. Oh no, I don't know if you know about this one. That's it. But she's gone and emailed me now. And I remember feeling like really worried at the time because, I thought I'd got on the wrong side of the big boss. I'd been bugging them. In fact, she said, oh, she's gone and emailed me now. And I thought I'd be blacklisted. But actually, I wasn't, far from it. And I actually ended up getting in that magazine numerous times. And this particular features editor put me on her list of recommended suppliers. So when she had an article to publish, or she had a theme, whether it was retro weddings or anything that's sort of related to what I did, she would email me and she'd say, oh, I've got a feature on retro weddings. Have you got anything that would fit? It's for next month's edition. So they started coming to me, which was amazing. And I've got all the publications on my shelf in my studio still, that I've been featured in. And we're talking probably near 50. And none of which I paid a single penny to be in. I didn't pay for an advert, a tiny quarter-page advert that nobody sees or cares about and shoved at the back of the magazine. I'm talking full on 4-page spreads, big A4 picture of my face there and my work. This is Joanne. She runs Vintage Tree. This is what it's about. These are her products. And yeah, it was lovely because reaching out to the right people meant that I actually got on their contact list as a source of reliable content for them. And I think I got a 4-page spread twice or 3 times now. 3 times. So I've had a couple in Cheshire Life magazine, and then I've had one in Style at Home magazine, which you wouldn't think would apply to my business because obviously it's not home decor. But I actually contacted them because we moved into our current house where we are now and we did it up. So, I'm not talking Grand Designs did it up. I'm talking about, had a couple of grand left after spending our life savings on this house, and we threw it at the studio the room that is now my studio. So made it into a lovely working space for me. And I decided, actually, I wonder if I could contact somewhere like Style at Home and see if they would feature my office, therefore my work and my business. It was kind of a sneaky ploy to get the business advertised again. But I sent them some before and after pictures of the room and what we did, and they jumped at it. They absolutely loved it. It made a massive difference. And they were interested. And a photographer actually came to my house and photographed me in my studio. And I've still got that feature framed on my wall now in my office. And it's very bittersweet for me because the timing was just really unfortunate. So this was back in 2017, around May time. And I just found out that my mum's breast cancer had spread to her brain and she really didn't have that much time left. But the magazine had responded to my email. They said that they'd love to arrange a photo shoot at their house. And I just remember thinking I couldn't do it. But when I told her about it, she said to me I must. And in fact, she was like, Joanne, you need to do this. She wanted me to put on this new vintage style dress that I'd just bought. And she loved it. And she wanted me to smile. So I did. And I got through the photo shoot. And the article was printed in I think it was June or July edition. I can't actually remember if she saw it. It was a little bit of a blur. I think I did take it to show her, but she wasn't really with it. She couldn't really focus. I think that's what happened at that point. But when I look at myself in the article that's on the wall, I can't help but just see this sadness in my eyes. And I was remembering how I felt that day, and I actually wore that very same dress to my mum's funeral and carried her coffin in it. So that was a bit weird for me. But I'm glad I did it, because nothing made her prouder than seeing me as a businesswoman. And I get it now, being a mum myself, you want to see your children succeed and be happy. So what I'm saying is, have a think about what publications your audience are likely to pick up and put in their basket in the supermarket, and contact them. Again, in my online course, the Creative SheCEO, I have a section called Beyond the Feed, and it helps you identify what publications that you think may actually be the perfect ones to target for your audience. So it'll help you sort through all that, come up with some definite lists, a place that you can target, who to contact, all their contact details. It's got a really good template and worksheet based on that. So I think you'll find that really useful if that's something that you decide to go for. So it also goes to like local newspapers and publications in your area, ones that might pop through your door. Find out the editor of these and drop them a message, because they love local content, and you'll probably find that they'll snap your hand off. I just have to say this quickly, yesterday we went to the opening of our new McDonald's where we live, because my daughter was really excited to get a Happy Meal from this new McDonald's. So we took her, and when we got there was a photographer from the local paper. And he said, "Oh, excuse me, we're looking for a family to take their picture for the opening day of McDonald's." I thought, oh God, anywhere but McDonald's. It was not ideal. But I said, yeah, that's fine. Turned out my husband actually knew the photographer as well, so that was embarrassing. So he's there taking our pictures, and then he said, okay, that was outside. And then he said, right, well, when you get in, is it okay if I take a picture of when you've ordered your food? I thought, oh God, name and shame or what? So yeah, that's fine, no problem, Nigel. Yeah. So we got our food, followed us in, took our picture, and I just thought, like, the enthusiasm that he was desperate for these local people to be in the paper. It made his story for him. And it's similar when it comes to your business, because you will make that publication. If you have got a good story to tell, I'm not saying going to McDonald's is a good story, but it was opening day, so they were after pictures. But if you approach them with a good story that they can't refuse from a local person who is doing well, or who's started a business, who is serving the community, doing this and that, you will find that they will respond to you. So another brilliant way to get yourself out there beyond the feed is by having an actual physical presence in the community, or, wherever you live. And here I'm talking things like events and fairs and shows. Now, I did a lot of these when I first started, and it did get me an established customer base without a doubt. And I still have customers from fairs that I did back in 2011. I might have met them at a wedding fair, but since they've had children, they come to me for birthday stuff, for keepsakes, for gifts. So they've continued and they've stayed with me as returning customers. But I've also got a lot of colleagues and fellow stall holders that I met. They recommend me to their customers and vice versa. So it's so important to have a presence at these things, because it can really help you boost your business and your confidence as well. Because, it shows a potential customer that there is a person behind the product or the service. A woman, a mom, a daughter, a grandmother, whatever. Because, when you're there in these environments, you talk to people, you swap stories. They'll really want to support you when they know you. And even if they don't buy anything that day, and they may not, and that's fine, but give them a card or a flyer. Tell them that it was so nice chatting to them. You'd love to add them to your mailing list so you can send them some exclusive offers or discounts or some news of exciting products. Make them feel special, because they may be a potential customer. And with all this digital stuff and social media, it's like we've forgotten how to communicate properly. Get personal, show your humanity. And I don't know, I'm quite an open person. So when I talk to somebody, even as a complete stranger, I have a way of warming them to me. And a lot of people have said that about me, friends and family, that I'm easy to talk to, and people just seem to tell me stuff. A lot of people tell me their problems, like complete strangers. And they did this to my mum as well. She was very similar. And I think it's this open vibe that we give. But I think sometimes we've just lost our confidence, especially after COVID when nobody went out. I know I did. I've lost a lot of confidence doing certain things, still have now. And I think we're just not sure if we're brave enough to do this face-to-face marketing. Well, you are. Because you know what? Once you're there, you'll 100% love it. Okay? Because seeing people's faces and reactions when they see your work, it's really validating. I remember like people coming over and looking at my stuff, and okay, they may not have bought it there and then, but they'd be saying to me, I've got to tell you, your stall is the nicest stall here. Your stuff is beautiful. And it really boosted my confidence. And I think the key is not to put pressure on yourself to sell. Because people sense it, don't they? They sense the desperation. And they don't want to come near your stall if you're there, hovering over them or looking nervous. They don't want to come over. I tend to find work just like, if I had somebody with me, whether it's my mum or a friend or a colleague, I'd have them with me behind the stall and I'd be talking to them. And then if somebody approached, I would say, oh, hello, feel free to have a browse. Thanks for stopping by. And then I'd carry on my conversation with my friend or my colleague. And then I'd go, oh, if you just need to ask me anything, please do. Don't worry whatsoever. I'm here. And people responded really well to it because they didn't feel watched. They didn't feel like I was watching over them. Are they going to pick it up? Are they going to touch it? Are they going to break it? Will they buy it? Will they not? So I think it was nice having that second person on my stall sort of take the attention off them and they didn't feel like they were being watched. But yeah, I mean, I just used to talk to people. You know, I did invite them to look, to touch, to hold my stuff. I used to tell them the story about how I made it, you know, why I made it. I remember this one lady, you know, she was looking at something for a while and I could see she looked uncomfortable. She may have wanted to ask me a question. So I just opened the conversation up with, oh, that's a really nice scarf you've got on. I said, that's lovely. Where do you get that from? And then she immediately went like really comfortable with me. Said, oh, thank you. Just got it from wherever it was, H&M. And then she asked me a question. She said, oh, can I just ask you about this? And then I thought, I've opened up the door there so that she feels now comfortable to ask me whatever it was that was on the tip of her tongue. She couldn't quite get it out. Smile, always smile, you know, always smile when they walk past. You don't have to give them like a weird smile, like come and see my store, buy my things. I just mean a little smile that will make people feel that they are invited over. And it's all really effective free forms of marketing and it will help you get known and get seen. So have a look in your area, plan for a fair for the spring or the summer, even if you've never done one before. You know, go outside your comfort zone and book something. Make sure it's something relevant to what you do. You know, it's not going to be something random where your target audience are not going to be. But I would definitely include them as an essential part of your offline marketing. One thing that I forgot to mention earlier when I was talking about getting your work featured in the press was the importance of just going that extra mile to get noticed. So one thing I used to do was I used to send them samples of my work because sometimes, you know, they like to photograph it themselves if they had a style shoot, for example. So I'd find out who to send it to from my little WH Smith trail every month. And then I'd put together like the prettiest package you'd ever seen containing samples of my work. And I'm talking like pink tissue paper with, I used to type these letters out in vintage typewriter font. I'd like staple a little bit of lace across the header, give it a fine mist, a nice smell as it went in the box. Like I'd all these little details, gold ribbon, just made it so beautiful. And then I'd post it off. And I'd even personalise the items to that person that I'd addressed it to, just to really catch their eye. So if it was a play setting for a wedding, I wanted them to feature or whatever, I'd write the editor's or whoever's name on it, just to really catch their eye. And I'd say that I'd wrap them so beautifully. I'd always include this note. Sometimes it was a handwritten note as well, which was a lovely personal touch, a business card with my details on. And I'd post it, and I'd just pray. And I'd stick it in the post box or take it to the post office and I'd be like, right, please get back to me. And almost all of the time when I used to do that, I'd hear back from them. And it was normally a yes, we would love to feature it. Thank you so much for taking the time to put this together and send it us. So it could have been, they may have emailed me back, or it could have been a tag on social media with my sample package on their desk, oh, just received this from @VintageTweet. It's amazing. Thank you. And they've obviously got a lot of followers, people would see it. And sometimes I didn't even hear back from them at all, and my stuff would just appear in the next month's edition of the magazine. So I definitely recommend, if you do the sample thing, make sure that you actually stop at the supermarket the following month or whatever and just flick through it, the one that you sent it to, because sometimes they don't tell you. It does make for an exciting discovery though. And I used to flick through it and be like, oh God, I made it, I'm in, and I'd buy it. Sometimes I'd text my mum from the Sainsbury's and be like, Mum, it's in. And they didn't let me know. I just, by chance, thought I'd check, and it was there. So that was always a lovely surprise, and something I look forward to every month. So samples do work well, whatever it is that you do. Like I say, mine was stationery, but I would say they are perhaps crucial if you create things that, the senses need to experience. So say like the divine smell of a candle, or the delicious taste of a biscuit or a cookie, or the soft touch of a handmade blanket, or anything. Because once people first-hand experience something, they are much more likely to fall in love with it. And I think in this digital age, where we're expected to make purchases on things that we need to really experience, like fragrances and taste, it'll really help you stand out above the rest. If you can send, doesn't have to be things even that you're selling right now. They can be samples that you've got in, that you've created. Just send them something to get their attention. And it'll show them that you've gone to the effort to create it, to package it off to them, to send it in the post. Nobody does it anymore, but it holds a great deal of influence and power. So you definitely need to offer samples. And you can do it with anyone, not just the press. Do it in your local community, your neighbours, your colleagues. And this works really well, because if they like them, then you've got yourself a marketing team right there, haven't you? They will tell people about you, and most likely the people that you're going to want to be your customers, local people. And this is the power of word of mouth. So when we say that word of mouth is the most effective form of advertising, it is. We have to give them something to talk about. You have to, I'm not saying speculate to accumulate, which effectively is what you're doing, but you need to be prepared just to give out a few things, a few samples. You have to get known. And one way to do it is to let people experience it for themselves. Particularly true if you have a food-based business, I would say, because once you taste something, some things that, samples that you give, you think, oh my God, that's amazing. And it influences your purchasing decision. So you don't see it as just doing things for free. Yes, of course you are, but you have to see the bigger picture and see it as a form of essential marketing. And it's actually not going to cost you that much at all, but it will bring you in the business in the longer term. So what have we learned from this episode? Let's run through the takeaways from today's episode. Number 1, you need to incorporate offline advertising as well as online advertising into your marketing strategy. Crucial. It's so crucial. Number 2, to get yourself some printed advertising materials, business cards, flyers, brochures, and leave them in places that your target audience are hanging out. Number 3, you want to collaborate with other local businesses. Check out if you can display your stuff in their shop. Access their customer base, leave flyers on their counter, anything. You want to find some magazines. Number 4, find some magazines that you think your audience will read and contact them. Ask them to feature your work. You've got to seduce them a little bit. Again, all contained in my workbook, My Techniques of Seduction. Priceless. Number 5, attend local craft fairs or events. Have a physical presence and tell your story, because people want to hear it. So that's it. I've really enjoyed talking about everything in this episode. You might have been able to tell, I'm a strong advocate for offline marketing. And it's always been the thing that has just pushed my business forward. And I'm here to tell you that it will do that for yours too. You just have to get out there and embrace it. And like I said, it's not as convenient. I was going to say easy, but I think that's not accurate. It's not as convenient as social media. because you can't do it from the comfort of your armchair, in the dark while you're putting your kid to bed, quickly do a post. It's not as easy as that. It does take some thought. It takes some effort, but it's not hard, and it will pay off. And you'll be surprised the amount of influential people that you can reach that can help your business be seen by doing it. So give it a go. It's really important. And remember, if you need any extra help whatsoever, this mini startup series now has finished. This is the last episode of the podcasts. But you can access my online course, the Creative SheCEO, How to Launch a Creative Business. And that's on my website, herhandmadehustle.co.uk. I've also put the link in the show notes. But it'll help you with everything that we've talked about in this whole mini startup series. It's fabulous. It's got some amazing templates and resources and just everything that you'll need to kind of make it happen faster. Because as I said, I can only tell you so much on these podcast episodes. I've got a really sore throat as a result of recording quite a few in a short space of time. And I could go on forever. But I wanted to put it all into like a workbook with actual practical activities and exercises that you can do to help you move your business forward quicker. So if you'd like to find out more about the workbook and get your copy, it's £99 on my website. I've put the link in the show notes as well. It's under the shop section on herhandmadehustle.co.uk. The people who have completed it said that it's really helped them get clear on the things that they needed to do to get their business, out of that quagmire, that ground that's really soft and it's really difficult to walk on. Every time you try and move forward, you're just held back and you just seem to get stuck or you sink deeper. So instead, you need to be starting on solid ground so that you can build a strong foundation that won't sink as you walk your path on it, and it will support you. It'll weather the storms, and if things get a bit ropey, because, they will, you're self-employed and businesses can go up and down, but the base will be solid and it won't let you down. And I think it's a really good analogy to finish this episode on. I really hope you've enjoyed it and all the others from the Business Startup series. Thank you for listening to 1, 2, or all of them. You're amazing. Thank you. I really hope you've enjoyed them. If you can, follow my podcast on here, Her Handmade Hustle Unplugged. Rate the episode as well. That would be fantastic. And that is it from me. And I shall be back with another episode of some business-related exciting things soon. I haven't decided what my next topic will be yet, but they're released every Wednesday. So keep an eye out. It'll be something fabulous for you to inspire and motivate you. But until then, thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.